The holiday season is off and rolling, with NFL in full stride and the NBA and NHL hitting mid-season form. BetOnline is your number one destination for all your sports wagering info. With up-to-the-minute sports wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions, BetOnline is the top spot for everything pro and amateur sports. And not just the big four. BetOnline has info available at your fingertips with both desktop and mobile access at any time for almost any sport that's played, from MMA to international soccer. Head to BetOnline today and remember to use our promo code Bleav for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Again, that's promo code BLEAV for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. It is the Arizona Cardinals centric specific podcast hosted by me, Javon J. Love Adams, and the man who runs this thing. He is a former professional baseball player. He also played in the National Football League for that first Super Bowl bound team for the Atlanta Falcons. He is a motivational speaker and author and an all-around great guy. He is Ed Easy Smith. What is good, my brother? Oh, my bad. Sometimes, I forget to get you back on here. What is good, my brother?
Hey, you run this thing. I'm just the man standing next to the man. So I'm glad to be that too.
All good, all good. So, it is, can you believe it is December 1st as we record this? December.
Oh, Christmas staring us down, bro. Staring us down. Can't believe it.
Yeah. It's funny. When I mentioned this person, you're going to laugh. So I talked to my mom yesterday. And she's just as mean and cantankerous as ever. Good Lord. Oh, my gosh. I mean, just cursing for no reason. All I called this dude.
I can't wait to meet that woman.
Man, you're going to have to try to get her out of her apartment, man. She's stubborn. So we do this thing twice a week on Mondays and Thursdays. This is Friday as you're receiving this. See, the schedule will be a little wonky off and on every other week, a little bit like that. But Mondays and Thursdays, Monday we look back on the game that was and kind of give our takes on that. Thursday, we look ahead to the game that is coming, that is the most upcoming game. And of course, that is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Arizona Cardinals will be traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the 7-4 Pittsburgh Steelers. The Arizona Cardinals are, of course, 2-10 coming into this. I'm trying to look and see what the weather's going to be like. I know you always have that type of weather stuff. Ed loves the weather. Oh, it's 46. I think it's supposed to be 46 degrees at game time in Pittsburgh. Want to get into that, your thoughts on this game. I'm sure I know I talked to you the other day and you was getting ready to do a podcast, I think, for in the Pittsburgh area. They run easy through that interview car wash, and it's always cool to get the insights on what the teams are looking ahead to. So before we get into that stuff, I want to get into it's an article, just a topic in general. It's an article I came across on ArizonaSports.com. And essentially, it's about Kyler is focused on breaking old habits as he works to perfect Cardinals offense. Now, especially, the last year or so, oftentimes I hit you with some of this mindfulness stuff, and I'm hitting you because I'm growing, I'm changing as a person. I like to think that I'm more peaceful and able to react better in moments of stress than I was 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, etc. But it's a work in progress. So having said that, when it comes to, let's say, a quarterback, who's really set in his ways, like Kyler Murray is, one of the things that I heard was that when he was drafted, it's not as if he was necessarily coached to improve his footwork. His footwork was a question mark coming into the league, all that type of stuff. But wanted your thoughts on, what do you think the possibility of Kyler changing his stripes, so to speak, and adjusting?
I'll start off answering your question by asking you a question. Would you imagine it's easier to break say if you have a teenager and someone in their 50s, our age, right? Who would it be easier to break the habit of smoking? It would be easier to break the habit of the teenager because they just started, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
The other one's been doing this a long time, so it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
Same thing goes with quarterbacks and their habits. How long has Kyler, and it's not like he has horrible footwork or this or that. He's just always gotten away with doing what he does because he has had superior athletic ability at the levels he was at high school. You go all the way back to Pop Warner. We've seen the pictures of him as a little Pop Warner kid. Then he got into high school. Then he got to college. Now he's here at this level asking to break habits. Well, one is going to take an extreme amount of work to whatever these habits are, and he lists some of them in the article, footwork, this, that, the other thing. It's going to take a long time. You don't just all of a sudden, well, I got a new coach, I'm just going to start doing it this way. No, it doesn't happen like that. It's repetition now. And, what are they trying to teach you? They might be wanting him to get under center more, to have the footwork coming from under center, coming out of it, play action or straight drop back or whatever it is. It's a whole lot different than having the ball snapped right to you, eyes up, and you can see everything. So these are, we'd have to get the list of things he's looking to break, but it's not going to be as easy as, okay, well, I'm just going to work on it in practice, and then all of a sudden I'm going to get in the games and do it. We always revert when you're in stress, under stress, right? We always revert back to what is most comfortable to us. So he can work on it as much as he was like doing practice and stuff like that. These are things that you have to work on during the off season. These are things that you get in the lab. You know how it is. When you're doing your thing you might have a little tick or something, and I got to work that out. You work that out in the darkest of hours, in the lab, at night. You don't just get on the stage and I'm just going to do this, do it. Nah. So for all the things that he wants to correct and work on, that's fine and dandy. Those things will get done in the off season. Now he can try to correct them now. It's not going to look as pretty because, like I said, you're under stress doing these games on Sunday. Whatever it is you're trying to work on, probably you're going to revert back to whatever the old habits are because that's your comfort zone. So I'm not sure. My thing for Kyler, hey, get out there and just try to be productive. I mean, this isn't the time to be necessarily working on things. We work on things in practice. You don't work on things in the games. That's when you find yourself in trouble because, like I said, you're going to revert back to those things that are most comfortable for you. And like I said, maybe who knows what they're asking him to do. I would love the exact list so we could actually dissect it of the things that he is, trying to correct. But so right now he's auditioning. You probably trying to say all the right things as well, right, Jay? Right. Because for a little bit of time, he's been seen as that little petulant, little spoiled kid because he was under Kingsbury and he was running the show. Now he's not running the show. So he's also, in addition to making it work on the field, he's trying to say and do all the right things as well. And, how much of that, like I said, can you correct in a matter of just a few weeks?
Yeah. Now, along those lines, I will say this. So couldn't you do both, though? So if you're trying to practice it, because this season is lost, they're 2-10 coming in here. Now it's a matter of they're looking to see which players are not going to tap out, which ones are going to continue to be professionals and work and do their job. And then couldn't it be said that Petzing, the offensive coordinator, should be saying, instead of, because I talked to my son this morning and he was livid. He said that he was under center 5 times in the series in which they scored, and they never went back to it. That's on the offensive coordinators as much as it is on the quarterback for some whatever the not the right reads and just not being in sync and in tune. But you got to keep putting them in that, practice it in the real-time situations in a season where there's really nothing to lose. We're just trying to get you to get that memory so that when it all falls down, as you mentioned, that you don't revert back to your old ways. We want the new ways is what you want to revert back to when it all breaks down.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the only way you correct certain things is you have to implement them. And the problem for the staff, in addition, is when you can practice it all week, right, Jay? When it doesn't look right during the game, what are they going to do? They're going to try to find his comfort zone as well because they don't want to look silly out there. So it's a blame of the staff as well. Well, we'll work on that this week. Right now, we're trying to win this game. So let's, get him into what he feels most comfortable with, So it's their fault as well. So it's both sides, they're both looking at it like, hey, we want to do this. And then, so like I said, as soon as you get in the game, hey, well, because they did in the first series, like you said, and all of a sudden it's like, scrap that. We're trying to win this one. Let's get him back in, pistol, and we'll run this, and we'll work on that on Tuesday and Wednesday or Thursday, when we got some time during the week. You got to also remember, this is unlike, like when you get spots in the off season where they're specifically teaching days and teaching moments. And we got a mini camp coming up where we got time in the meeting rooms. We also have some time on the field. So we're going to work on that all week long. What are we doing now? We're game planning specifically each week for the game that's coming up. It's not time to be working on stuff. This is, hey, we're implementing because we only got so many hours. We got to install. We got to get to work on our, our 1st and 10. We got our short yardage, our goal line, our red zone, our 2-minute. These are all things we got to work on in preparation for this upcoming game. This isn't time to be working on stuff that we should be doing during the off season. So that's the dilemma right there.
Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. He's Ed Smith. I'm Javon Adams. So I want to throw this out at you. Speaking of working on things, Zach Ertz is working on trying to find himself a new team because he asked for his release and he was granted his release. He had to see the writing on the wall there as soon as they drafted Trey McBride, right? I mean, I would imagine that when you're a player and if you're the starting left DN and they draft a left DN, all right, this dude, eventually they're trying to replace me. So you're never shocked by those things. Plus, he's been injured a little bit, especially this year and over the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, and it's not even necessarily the writing on the wall when they drafted him because initially the thought process, we're going to have Ertz here to help groom Trey, get him ready and teach him along the way. Then all of a sudden Ertz gets hurt. Trey goes out and has the breakout couple of weeks, and it's like, all right, I think he's learned enough, and we're paying seriously, and we're paying this dude a whole lot of money to now sit and watch Trey do what we think he hopefully can do moving forward. And then Ertz is, hey, I don't want to see her babysitting anymore on a 2-10 team. Can y'all please do me a favor? They'll release him. They asked him to give a game check back, which he said, yeah. Where's he going, bro? He's going right back to Philly if he can. That's the perfect landing spot for him. He knows the organization, knows the offense. They're in need possibly. I can't remember. Did Goddard get hurt? I can't remember. But regardless, be a perfect spot to land for him. A team that's heading skyrocketing toward the postseason. Man, you go there and get him another ring possibly. So, like I said, it works. It's one of those situations where it's a no-brainer. As soon as he was healthy and sitting around, it's like, yeah, let's let him go do his thing. We can relieve ourselves of that salary. And I think he's left our young tight end in a better place than when we first got him here. So that's all. Like I said, that's just how the business works, man.
Yes, sir. I guess so. It is. That's the circle of life, Simba. So let's get into this. So Arizona Cardinals, Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers, and we know they fired their offensive coordinator, Matt Canada, a couple of weeks ago. They had more yardage last week, but they still didn't score much. So your thoughts on this game? Because we know that the Steelers, they're gonna come with the defense. That's their calling card. And Mike Tomlin, he is the definition of find a way to win. Because if you look at this over the last five games, the offense scored 16, 13, 23, 20, and 20. And out of those last 5 games, they won 3 out of those 5. So they're finding a way to win some of these low scoring games where their offense isn't really putting up the numbers. What are your thoughts on this Pittsburgh Steelers team?
The Steelers remind me of Malcolm X, bro. By any means necessary. I mean, that's exactly how they win. They just get it done with the nastiest looking offense. And then they fire the offense coordinator, like you mentioned. They go out and get 400 yards for the first time in probably 20 years, right? And they're actually celebrating that, even though you only scored 16 points and beat a Bengals team with a backup quarterback, right? So it's like, what are we really, it's like, hey, yay, give them a little golf clap. It's like, okay, what do you, is it yards or is it points that you're after? They're still very bad in the red zone, so they still have that problem to correct. The thing I don't want to do is, if you're the Cardinals, you don't want to be that get right for the Steelers, right? You don't want to go over there and just open the floodgates and give him confidence moving forward.
Ooh, don't let the Steelers score 30 points in this game.
I'm just saying, we're on 2 different train tracks, right? You ever been on a train? You got the one that's doing all the local stops, and then you see that one flying by you on the side every now and then. That's the commuter that's heading 100 miles an hour to further destinations. Steelers are heading to a different destination at 7-4 currently. even though we didn't think it was possible, they are heading in the direction of playoffs and postseason. We are heading in the direction of looking to see what the draft looks like and, rebuilding this team. So, two different, modems right now. We're trying to figure it out. They're also trying to figure it out, but with like I said, with incentives ahead of them. And this game, like I said, we could go over there and we could, be a spoiler, or we could lay down and just, give them what they want. And I'm hoping it's the spoiler. I hope we go over there and put some pressure on them and not just give this game to the Steelers. But like I said, somehow they just figure out how to do it over there in Pittsburgh. I have no idea. Tomlin, 15 plus years, never had a losing season. And that's just think about what's going on in New England. They're just, how does he continue to do it without all the ingredients? If they had a quarterback there, and a competent OC, who knows what the Steelers might be? They might be another one of those runs when they have Roethlisberger. How every year it was coming down to them in New England and probably Indy with Peyton Manning, but they were always in the mix. Right now, they look like a team that might make the playoffs, probably will, and then they'll get bounced out in the first round because they just can't compete offensively with the other teams out there. So, like I said, I'd rather be in their spot than ours, but at the same time, I don't see like the rosy, we're getting ready to hoist a trophy over there in Pittsburgh. But like I said, they are the Steelers and we are the Cardinals right now, and we'll see what this game. I'm sure we'll get specific with it, but yeah, I don't know what's going on with that offense over there in Pittsburgh.
Before I get into asking you what does each team have to do to secure a victory, is Tomlin strikes me, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm going back to the example you always give about Coach Reeves, how he did, well, his calling card was defense, if I'm not mistaken, right? Was it that's where he made
Coach Reeves?
Yes, Coach Reeves was on the defensive side
more,
of the ball.
He was a hybrid, to be honest with you. He had his hands in everything.
That's what I want to get at. So sometimes, when you have that coach that is able to go to each room and is able to just kind of, again, be that CEO. So he's not spending, I was going to say wasting, it wouldn't be a waste, but not spending all his time with one side of the ball. He's making sure he's touching everything. It seems like that's what a Jonathan Gannon would want to be. To be able to have more along those lines. So as he's looking across across to the other sideline, should he be looking at Tomlin and saying, how can I be maybe more like Belichick? Yeah, maybe, but how can I be more like Tomlin to be able to have not only the longevity, but to be able to have an understanding of all facets of my team in that way?
Yeah, that's a great kind of thought process there, Jay, because some coaches like Sean Payton is totally like, he's an offensive quote unquote genius and all that. So he spends the majority of his time with the offense because he's actually helped building it. Tomlin is a defensive guy, but I don't think he's the one building everything. He's the one overseeing everything. And it is a big difference because Tomlin, he can spend the majority of his time going from room to room, like you said, and checking in on the special teams. Then he goes and sees what's going on in the offensive meetings. Then he might spend a little more time on the defensive side with those guys, but he is still kind of motoring around. And some of these coaches, I guarantee you they have a defense, like say an offensive mind. They have a defensive guy. You go handle that. I'll see you at the meetings at noon because that's when I'm supposed to see you. And then they come together. Hey, what's going on in there? What you guys doing? That type of thing. I think Gannon does strike me as the type of guy who might want to make his way around all the rooms because he does have an offensive and defensive coordinators in place. Let those guys do their job. Your specialty will be to oversee as the CEO. So, yeah, Tomlin might be the perfect kind of guy for him to, and, Sirianni as well. He obviously came from the Philly tree. I think Sirianni is, he's more offensive, but I think he's the type of dude that makes his way around the rooms too. So he probably came from the perfect he came from a perfect place as far as Philly. But yeah, Tomlin would be a guy that I would, if I'm Gannon, I'm taking notes even when we're standing out there doing the pregame. I'm watching how he's rotating around to all his players, making sure he's hitting all of the spots. that might be the perfect example, for Gannon to kind of mirror himself.
Okay, so after you answer this question, you can transition into what the Steelers have to do to win this game. But it's easy to look at a team from afar and say that team has this going on great or this going on poorly. Versus if you're in that market and you think you guys have no clue that he doesn't do that, this coach doesn't, this team is not good at that, this team is really good at this, not that. So I'm wondering, when you've been talking to the people in doing the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of interviews this week, the way we see Tomlin as, man, that's a guy that you should be happy to have that coach. Are they saying the opposite, saying, man, why can't we have this other coach? Why are they more negative about him, or are they as positive or more positive than, along the lines that we are when we look at him?
Steeler fans love Tom, and you got to remember this too, Jay. In the history of the organization, they've only had 3 head coaches. Think about that. Their team was formulated before I was even born, and they've had 3. Their teams have had 3 head coaches in a single season, like in a calendar year.
Look at Carolina Panthers. They had in the last 4 or 5 years had 6 coaches. So yeah.
So the thing is, you always use the word perfectly all day. You can't be empathetic, meaning you can't be like, well, we just don't make change here. It's got to obviously be a positive thing to have coaches there that long. And I think when you look at what Tomlin has done, the meal he continues to make without the ingredients that we all expect, we shake our head like they're 7-4 right now. It's like, how the heck did they do that? They did it because they have a head coach who understands what he has and doesn't try to do too much with it. He held on probably to the OC too long, but that was kind of out of loyalty, just like the Steelers have been loyal to him, like they were to Cowher before him. And, so it's like, it's a lesson to learn. You sometimes have to be more willing to pull the trigger when it's not working. Let's take a detour from here. But at the same time, the stability of the Steelers organization is something that every team should model to. You find that guy and you don't just get off of him when things aren't going well the first, the second, the third time. It's like, hey, we're going to turn this around. And we've seen in seasons before where it looks like the Steelers are dead in the water. Next, they're 9-8. It's like, how the hell, or 8-8. It's like, how the heck did they do that? Because they stayed with the dude. They stayed with his plan. And I think the fans feel the same way. They love Tomlin and his attention to detail, his discipline. And, sometimes there's always good and bad with the good. So they could point out different things, but the fact that he's there, they're winning, they're always relevant. You could be in a much different place if you go to that rust of judgment like Carolina does. They're going to be doing it all over again this year, and probably in 3 or 4 years going through the same thing over again. Would you rather be there or with the stability of the Steelers? And like I said, they're an ingredient or two away all the time. I mean, their defense is always, relevant. If they could just figure out a quarterback, because I don't think Pickett is the guy, but they're sticking with him till either something else comes about or he figures it out. But, like I said, they're always just a tick away from being back in that mix of championship. So they're trying to right the ship right now, and the fans love that. They love being closer than farther away at all times.
I heard that. So what do the Steelers have to do to win this game?
Man, they just got to run the ball and open it up a little more. I saw and heard all week how it was the difference. And obviously they had the yardage. They didn't score in the red zone, but they were actually throwing in the middle of the field. And I'm like, that's new. I guess up until this point, everything was out on the outside of the numbers. So now I guess they realize, hey, it's not against the rules to throw the ball inside the numbers to a Freiermuth and all their weapons and stuff like that. If they can run the ball, and Najee seems like he's running angry now because somebody is threatening to take some of his touches away and stuff like that. So he's running the ball. They can run the ball, Pickett, just don't make mistakes, but also you have to open it up where he is throwing the ball down the field a little more, down through the middle of the field, hit your tight end, you got those weapons on the outside, et cetera, et cetera. If they do that, don't turn the ball over and get after us with their defense, they win this game. They're figuring it out. Last week, 16-10 against the Bengals, that shouldn't be. This should be one of those games where they come out and it should be a dominating performance for them on both sides of the ball. But it all starts with them taking care of the ball and not just trying to play keep away with it, but actually throw the ball up the field and make some hay.
Okay. And then what about the Arizona Cardinals? How can the Cardinals? It would have to be consistent. If you find something that works, stick with it. If you're running the ball, don't forget that you got James Conner, man. Don't forget 6 carries, really.
Yeah.
But I'll let you. It's on you. What do you think the Cardinals need to do to win this game?
Exactly what you just said. I mean, they got to remember that they have Conner run the ball, and obviously we can't turn it over. But same thing for us, bro.
But seriously, even if they win the turnover, I gave you that stat 1-5 when they win the turnover battle, and that just goes to that might be a little bit of coaching in there by not taking advantage of some of these takeaways that they get. But
the other thing is being more explosive. We have to throw the ball up the field. It's almost like we're scared. We don't have weapons on the outside, but the chuck and duck. Hey, let them turn it loose, man. Why you paying Marquise all that money? My mama named Marquise. I'm calling Marquise. why you paying him all that money to just be throwing these ins and outs and stuff like that? Hey, let's chuck the ball up the field a little bit. See if we can get on the other side of that. Steeler defense. They're going to throw stuff at us. They're going to come with some blitz. They're going to do some different things. Let's try to beat them off the ball, man. And instead of marching up the field, we're trying to, 13, 14 play drives. Let's take a shot on some of those 3 and 4 play drives. I think we have to do that if you want to see what Kyler can do. And like I said, then protect the football, obviously, and run it when you have to. We can't be running James Conner 6 times. And this is a homecoming for him. So you should be featuring him more than anything this week so he can get off. And
he'll knock somebody out.
Oh, yeah. They might be the 2 things they're afraid of. Because it's the unknown. We still don't know where Kyler is and what he can do. But this is one of those revenge get back games. Conner should tote that rock. If anybody else touches it, I'd be like, that's a personal foul. He used to run the ball between 25 and 30 times, and then Kyler throw it his number of times, but not just sideline to sideline, up the field. Let's get some stuff going. Let's get some quick scores.
Indeed. So the spread is one place that I'm looking at is Pittsburgh -5.5. The over under 41.5 points. Who you got winning this game?
Oh, it's a tricky one because Cardinals, like I said, they could come out here and do something. This is one of those Pittsburgh ugly wins, I think. I don't think they exploit the areas they need to exploit. They score just enough points. Bro, this is one of those 20-17 games, something like that. And it's not going to be pretty. It's going to be, a lot of this fighting is going to be inside in the center of the ring. It's not going to be beautiful because they're still trying to figure it out offensively. We're still trying to figure out offensively. Somebody has to win this one other than a tie. So I think it's they scored just enough. Like I said, 20-17. I would even throw like a 20-18 or 19 after some way they figure out a way to win this one, but it's not going to be pretty either way.
Interesting. So we will. I think I got the Steelers. Oh, man, I'm afraid. I think they might end up having that offensive outburst, and that means 28 points. That means 28 points for the Steelers, 28-13.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I got. But all right, so and as always, we are presented by Bet Online. Tell a friend about what we have going on here at Bleav in the Arizona Cardinals. We do this thing twice a week, Mondays and Thursdays. And on behalf of the one and only Ed Easy Smith, I am Javon J. Love Adams. Hope you enjoyed this week's game, and maybe we'll come back and eat a little crow. We don't mind eating a little crow because we like to do that sometimes, but Ed loves the controversy. So as we always like to say around this time, you can